Good afternoon. So, how are you? This is Imanshu bringing you the hashtag DLG Plus to Dispatch live from my own headquarters from Rajkot. So, what's happening basically in the world? Of course, the headlines are being dominated from Hormuz. No doubt about that. The US Iran, the 100% tariff threat on India. These are the headlines largely from the world, whereas the headlines in India are largely of the budget monsoon session, what's happening in Bengal, what's happening on in South. I mean, in terms of politics and all other areas, most of the uh, people losing the job in US because of the pink slips returning back to India. So these are the news from the India pack. Gujarat news headlines are largely dominated with the birthday of the chief minister, which was yesterday, and that's what it is. And other developments, of course, like the shipbreaking yard and other areas. And in technology, science, space, there are several headlines. So let's start with the markets. We thought of scheduling the live from 15:45 when the markets get over. So what's happening with the markets? So I'll just run you, in first few minutes through the market slot basically and the slides from the market. So this is something we bring to you as the markets closed today. The Nifty was down 5.7, 5.0.024 percentage. Take a look at the Sensex as well, so we get a fair idea as to what's happening in the markets. And Sensex, equally, if you see, Sensex was also largely, that Sensex was up 76 points. So, what has been the reason for this mixed kind of a reaction? So, while we take a look at the factors which have impacted the market today, the factors are largely it's about the geopolitical tensions and the oil prices, escalating Middle East conflict, US Iran strikes, fear of supply chain disruption, and naval blockades, of course. Rising oil prices, $85 to $86 per barrel. That is what the Brent crude has gone. Inflation concerns rise from India's import bill. Import has rise the way the data came of the trade deficit, and no doubt about that, that's rising in terms of value, in terms of volume, not probably in terms of volume, but in terms of value, definitely it's rising. Sector specific rebound in profit booking. What's happening in that area? Recovery in information technology stocks, HCL Tech, Infosys, Tech Mahindra were largely the good players that have kind of given a resistance over here. Persistent overhead supply pressure near Nifty 24 200, 24 250, and intraday profit bookings erased early gap of gains. So these were the factors, the trading factors in the market largely. And IPO activity and technical levels, if you see, robust primary market activity, strong investor appetite, successful listing of laser power, and technical support near. That's largely kind of a psychological level. That's where the Nifty is 24,000 kind of a thing. So it's 24,072 today. That's how the Nifty closed. And these are the factors. What has happened in the India markets? Let's take a look at the world indices. What's happening in the world markets? So when we take a look at the world indices, the major global indices, this is the scenario. This is the scenario. And what is happening with the global markets largely? It's a mix basically. US pack is rising up because of the war and the tech stocks and everything. Equally, the same impact is seen in the Latin American markets, while as in Africa and Europe, if you see, they are sluggish because the European growth has taken a hit. Even the data which has come from Ireland, that we are going to talk in our business slides, basically, the exports have gone down. Significant downsizing of the exports, and the import bills are rising. So this is Trump's new game. I think it's not about tariffs now. It's about oil-driven inflation, which is playing the role over here. So the European markets were kind of subdued. Asian markets equally saw Asia and Pacific. Asia and Asia Pacific markets largely saw a mixed kind of a thing, where Korea Composite, KOSPI was down, Shenzhen was down, SSE Composite was down, Philippines Composite Index was a little up, and Composite Index and IDX, I think that was also down. And in other areas, if you see the uh, Tadawul and other stocks, they were little up. South African indices were little up. So it's a kind of a mixed volley which is going on in the world markets. So this is all about the markets as far as the presentation goes. Let's jump to the slides as to what is the news happening in the conflict zone and what are the developments from the conflict zone. So, what are the headlines from the conflict zone? The US airstrike hits northern Iran, disabled ship trying to run blockade. So, that's what they are doing. Live updates, if you see, US pounds Iranian targets for the fifth day, strikes tanker bound key oil ports. US attacks on oil tankers in Strait of Hormuz, strikes reported in Tehran as well, and US strikes a disabled ship trying to breach blockade. And India bars the seafarers from Strait of Hormuz voyages after the attacks. Because India doesn't want to take a risk over there. And fewer vessels travel through the Hormuz as the Iran continues the strike. Equally, the US also continues the strike. And US hits Iranian oil tanker. Tehran attacks Kuwait and Jordan. So this is the whole scenario of the conflict zone. If you see, and if you see the graphic, you'll get a fair idea. UK economy said to have stayed in a slow lane after the Iran war held. It held the growth back. So that's what we are seeing in the markets. The European markets are largely subdued, and that's the pressure over there in the on the European markets. Oil, LNG, fertilizer, and maybe diamonds. What is at the risk at the Iran's wider blockade threat? Diamonds probably might not be at a risk because the diamonds are largely traded through the air cargo and kind of things, not through the shipping containers, of course. So oil, LNG, fertilizer, yes, but diamond, I don't believe diamond could be taking a hit. Yes, the mining or the other activities or the sanctions which are there, this could probably kind of block your supply chains, no doubt about that. Otherwise, diamonds do not come in containers. Diamonds are largely air cargo. The people bring it, they disclose it, they bring it in their pockets. The value is high. It's just probably a small packet. So that's not what it is. US resumes the Iran blockade. That's what it continues. And let's take a look at the other corner line story. And Trump reinstates blockade on Strait of Hormuz. US launches wave of new attacks on Iran. So this is now something, an unavoidable situation, a kind of plug and play model of the West Asia war, which is hitting us so badly. Hitting the world so badly. So this is about the news from the conflict zone. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world desk. And the news from the world desk, largely if you connect the world desk, it's US imposes 25 tariff on some of the imports from Brazil. That's the headline which is being read the most. Interestingly, US has roped in RBI, ex-RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan to two other Indians for the key Fed roles. This is one of the interesting developments happening in the economic space and the landscape of US. The way Fed Chair Vash is there. This is the new team, the Indian brains coming in, the three Indian brains. So, what is there in the pipe now? That's a big story. That's what we'll be tracking on a day-to-day basis. I think the commentaries of Raghuram Rajan also would be there available on several media platforms now from here, because now he'll be talking as one of the key Fed members. And let us understand what is going to be the kind of genesis which, while he talks about the world economy as one of the Fed members. Bank of Ireland and Google are offering 10,000 AI scholarships to businesses. That's the news. And equally, New Zealand detects H5 bird flu. So there have been cases in New Zealand, and Thailand changes visa rules for Indians, opens 30-day visa-free entry after tourist drops. So Thailand has now gone in that direction because see, the tourism and all these things are taking hit, no doubt about that. Because the way whole scenario has happened, the way the oil-driven inflation is happening, people are kind of cutting their costs, they are cutting their corners, and so probably the tourism is taking in. Amidst that scenario, you will hear the sound of rain because I've kept the windows open. I want the noise to disturb us. We have unfortunately decided to remain in silent zones, but let the voice disturb us. Let the voice of nature at least disturb us, no doubt about that. So don't mind this raindrops and rainfall and the shower voice which is coming. This is a natural voice. Let's hear it. So this is largely the thing, and that's the reason Thailand has kind of relaxed its visa entry norms. Stock market live updates. That's how it is. When we did this slide, the market hours were on, so that's how it is. Export gains on India's trade data for June. That's what's making the news. India UK DCC not applicable to Indians working in the UK before July 15. So this is about the immigration laws or the immigration rules which we are talking. India Prime Minister Narendra Modi is to flag off the second sleeper Vande Bharat on July 17. Full route timings and stops and everything is given on the on the news links, and that's what is one of the most read pieces today in India. If someone seeks bribe, tell them. That's what Vijay said. Tell them and deny them very strongly. He said, "This is our brother Vijay telling you," and this is said in public rally. And that particular remark has gone viral. That video has gone viral of the rally of Karur. And it looks like a film shot when the chief minister himself says, "Deny the corruption." So that's how it is. After 18 years in US, Meta executive returns to Bangalore for family and home. I mean, there's no option, no boss. When the job is not there, what will you do? You'll return home. Obviously, that's what you do. Indian shares edge hit. I mean, US tension. Let me read that corner line development. Indian shares edge higher as financial lead, and US Iran tension gap gains. So yeah, I mean, uh, the financial package kind of today, kind of traction the markets. You can call it. Let's see what's happening in India. I mean, what is the India story on the business desk? So this was the news largely from India and the world. What we talk now, we are talking the business desk and what's happening in the business desk. So in the business desk, if you see, these are the news largely coming in, which is of Dixon Tech, Keynes, Scan, DLM, EMS stock surge 1.9 lakh crore semiconductor mobile manufacturing boost. So that's the news which is read most in India today. SBI Fund Standard Management has subscribed almost 3x so far on the final day of bidding. Should you apply or not? This is also one of the news which is being read. And goods export worth euro 16.5 billion in May figure. So that's about Ireland, not about India. So don't confuse that with this, because the way, I mean, the AI, when we instruct something to AI and the way AI does it, it does it in its own manner, using its own intelligence. So don't confuse this with India. This is the Ireland data. And interestingly, I mean, if you read that, the Ireland data, that also equally, uh, I mean, indicates a lot of things, how basically the exports have hit, mainly the pharma exports, and how the imports are rising. Equally on the tariff threat, 100% tariff threat over Russian oil could roil India-US ties. Yes, this is what is happening today. Some developments are shaping, including China and India. Some five nations, they are looking to impose 100% tariff. I mean, if you continue buying the Russian oil. So this is one of the most read news. It's one of the most argued and debated things today in the diplomatic channels also, because how would India sustain without a cheaper Russian oil? No doubt about that. But the sanctions are there, everything is there, and I mean, if you buy that oil, then you're hit by threats. You are hit by tariff threats. You are hit by the currency war. So, I mean, this is something kind of a Tango 22 situation for a nation like us, which is a completely an oil importing economy. So, let us wait and watch what happens in this direction. Outbound investments. Corporate India's record outbound investments add pressure to rupee. This is the article from the Financial Times, and it technically details as to how the outbound investments are hitting the Indian economy and how it is creating a pressure on the rupee. The way the FIs are exiting, or the FDIs are moving out or slipping out, the way this is happening, it's talking about it. And Barrett boosts shareholders' return in phase of investor pressure. So this is the news which is happening about the Boots company, and this is sorry, it's happening about the Barrett, and they are talking about how they'll boost the shareholder return in phase of invest. So there is a pressure from the investor groups. Fortunately, unfortunately, such investor group pressures are there still in Western world, which is not happening in India, unfortunately. And that's the reason a lot of activities, a lot of corporate governance issue, a lot of, I mean, one-sided hiking or one-sided, I mean, acquisition of land and everything is happening in India, because the investor group pressure is really not happening. That's the story largely on the business context. Let's take a call as to understand what's happening in the political and legal desk. The political and legal desk of India, what they are tracking today in India is mainly about the Delhi High Court. I mean, it's all about the Sonam Wangchuk and that news, and it's how the Delhi High Court, directs daily medical monitoring of Sonam Wangchuk amid the indefinite hunger strike. Government doctors to monitor Sonam Wangchuk, says High Court as the hunger strike enters day 19. Life is precious. Delhi High Court has said this to the center to regularly monitor, to regularly examine Sonam Wangchuk's health. And Sonam Wangchuk loses over 9 kgs. That's the news which is coming in. Weakens significantly on the 19th day of hunger strike. That is what the CJP spokesperson have said. So these are the news largely dominated by the Sonam Wangchuk and the kind of protests happening in Jantar Mantar, the silent and peaceful protests, no doubt about that. The BJP's core group has met at PM's residence ahead of the monsoon session of Parliament. In West Bengal, if you see, Madan Mitra leaves, Mamta Banerjee joins the rebel Trinamool camp. So this is happening in West Bengal, no doubt about that. Air India crash, pilot blames the narrative affecting witnesses. Supreme Court has been told. That's the news which is being tracked largely in the political and legal desks in India. And Latur coaching owner paid 5 lakh to procure neat questions from NDA paper setter. That is what the CBI has said. And these are the media reports. And there's a chaos in the inside the tunnel, fire in Mumbai coastal road, so cars are abandoned. So this is the news largely coming from the India desk in the political and legal desk. This developments are happening. I mean, you'll be surprised to know why this news of chaos inside the tunnel in Mumbai coastal road, because these news is tracked largely calling the control room, the police control room. And when there is a chaos or traffic management, people call police control room and they get to know. And this is the reason this news is being tracked on the political and legal desks or the law and order or the crime reporting desks in India. Let's take a look at what's happening in the entertainment and sports desk. In the entertainment and sports desk, if you see, the Odyssey first review, Nolan's epic debuts, 99% Rotten Tomato score. I mean, critics call it a film of the year. That's how Odyssey is being talked about. Amir Khan reveals that Gauri Sprat is not Hindu, she is Christian, amid the fatwa and the allegations of the love jihad, which has been issued even by the local clerics over there. And Amir Khan responds to the love jihad allegations, and he has talked over his marriage with Gauri Sprat. So this is how it is. In the political row, the Falkland Islands, Argentinian Messi and co trigger political row. So this is happening in FIFA. Risk FIFA troubles before final. And epic squads, Scaloni loves Argentina's back-to-back World Cup comebacks. And equally in the FIFA World Cup, as it has happened, Argentina versus England semi-final players, team, games, fixtures, results, everything is there. England starters Morgan Rogers, Jed Spence, and Reece James, they start for the England and Argentina semi-final shutdown. And ITV, which is one of the prime networks of UK, to broadcast the World Cup halftime show in full. That's what they're telling. And Dhamal 4 box office collection, Ajay Devgan starrer hits net 82 crores in 5 days. So it is reaching a 100 crore kind of a gambit, no doubt about that. And equally, FIFA World Cup 2020 has happened. Spain strolls past France 2.0 in blockbuster semi-finals in Dallas, and how an allegation of an affair between teammates rocked the Australian cricket. So these stories are being read most in the world, most in the entertainment and the sports space. Let's take a look as to what is happening on the health, science and technology front. On the health, science and technology front, there have been cyclosporiasis outbreak. Record US cyclosporiasis outbreak demands urgent clinical vigilance. This is from the health bulletins. Iridium retrospective cohort study of the long-term outcome associated with severe hyponatremia. Now I'll have to understand what is this hyponatremia. Let me understand this term. What does this mean? Hyponatremia. It means it's a condition. I'll just go through it. It's a condition where sodium concentration in your blood falls to the normal level. So it's a condition basically. It's a condition and your blood falls below the normal range of 135 to the sodium concentration. The salt concentration falls into your blood in the normal range of 130 to 145 millimol per liter. It's typically caused by excessive water diluting or your sodium levels or significant sodium loss through prolonged vomiting, diarrhea, and certain medications. So this is that's the reason you have the OS waters and everything. Diabetes and muscle health. Poor muscle health may rise diabetes risk, the study finds basically. And what is happening in the science front? NASA, what's there from the NASA Cosmic Rescue? Cosmic Rescue, NASA scrambles to save a falling space telescope. That's how it is. And NASA has prevents rover sets, milestone completes a full marathon in the Mars. So these are news from the scientific space. The tech space is largely about the phones and everything, gadgets and everything. So it's about the Motorola update. Motorola's new flagship killer lock looks great, but while you check the terrible update policy. So the update policy is not to the mark. That's what the customers are saying. That's what's being reviewed on the net. iOS 27 beta, eager to install iOS 27 public beta. That's a version of iOS for the iPhones. Here's how to go on into it with OpenWise. You need to study everything as to before installing it. OpenAI smart speaker. So like your Alexa and other Google speakers, now the OpenAI has come with the smart speaker. More details about the OpenAI smart speaker surfaces. That's the news on the gsmarena.com. And iPhone 17 gets a limited price drop at a couple of stores in India. That's mainly the Vijay sales. because before the price rises, so people are rushing to buy the iPhone 17. Google versus Epic is finally over, and the third party app stores are coming. This is what it is. And Huawei Pura 90s Pro, 90s Pro, what's happening in that? Just a corner news. So, Huawei Pura 90s Pro hands on a look at the more compact option in the Duo GSM Arena. So, that's the news on the gsmarena.com. It looks at the more compact option. That's the news making rounds from the technology, science, and health desk. Let's see what are the other developments. In other developments on the general news desk, interesting news is Indian techie says the best part of his UK job isn't his salary. It's this. So what is it you need to read? This is read one of the most read pieces. Gastro outbreak being investigated, and rural education fellowship opens to empower the rural education innovators. That's how it is. CBSE foreign tag on the English sparks debate over the language policy and the constitution. This is one of the most read pieces before 5 hours. Before 16 hours, the record dinosaur T-Rex sale that has been auctioned at 482 crores. So one of the most expensive dinos sold for a record of 182 crores. That's what it is. And after ITI, the new IITs. Why skilled trades may be safer on AI hit tech jobs. So this is it versus is it ITIs versus the IITs? And my understanding is yes, because my personal experience. I mean, I used to get my motorbikes done through one of the garage person. He's no more. He used to live in Dwarka. He has passed away because of the heart and chronic conditions, and he had a kind of a fabulous knowledge of every machine. Call it a motor, call it a bike, call it a genset, call it a phone, call it a, I mean those Altarian vehicles which run into the sands and Dwarka on the seacoast sands, and these are Chinese models. He used to even repair them. So I think, and he was ITI pass out. He was not some IIT guy. And at times when he was called for some auto workshop or something, the way he used to challenge the whole mechanism of particular thing, even the auto experts were, kind of his fan. So, I mean, the auto company, auto experts, they were his fan. He had that sort of deep knowledge of everything. So yes, I think ITI is basically skilling, and IIT is largely about I don't know what it could be, but yes, that's there. Why the skilled trades may be safer than the AI hit tech jobs. That's true. That's true. AI careers, 10 AI careers for the fresh graduates. You can read this and even understand what's happening. 9,911 more seats this year at in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. These are big beneficiaries for the medical students. And golfers unite for they unite for some event basically. Let me understand what is that, because that's blocked because of the corner. Golfers unite for Yarawonga Health. That's the news before 2 days. So these news are read most in the world in the space of I mean the general news desk or whatever you call it. From the Gujarat desk, if you see the developments from the Gujarat desk, it's largely about Rath Yatra commence. I mean, today is Ashadi Beach and Rath Yatra commences today. So Rath Yatra is something, it's just not faith, and it's more than a faith, of course, and it's all about the kind of optics it brings in, the kind of management. At times, I mean, covered couple of Rath Yatras, and I have seen that the students from other the IPS uh, institutes, basically the IPS training institutes in India, the public training institutes, those trainees, they also come and visit us to as their case study. That how the management is done, how the law and order is maintained when the yatra passes through some communally sensitive areas. This has always been a challenge. In last few years, yes, some things have doused. This is not happening anymore. But otherwise, Rath Yatra has always been a kind of a case study, even for the law and policy makers, the law and the legal experts as well. And of course, the bureaucratic class, which tries to understand that how, what is the route, how the management is done by cops in Ahmedabad and other places. Nowadays, Rath Yatra happens in most of the cities in India, and it's a birthday of Lord Jagannath. So this is in news largely. Gujarat CM Patel performs the ritual basically, and he flags off the 149 Jagannath Rath Yatra in Ahmedabad. Neighbor burns woman alive over 5,000 dead in Gujarat. This is a sad news, no doubt about that. Tiny creatures of sea expose big stories of Gujarat's plastic waste. And disability-friendly parks. Gujarat's sensory garden scheme to make urban parks disability-friendly. So people with disabilities can also move around easily in the park. And new cancer drug boom. New age therapies fuel Gujarat's cancer drug boom. That's the news. That's a business side of a story. And Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah, they have wished the Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel on his birthday. This is also the news. In principle, not for 1,570 crore ship repair facility has been that nod has been given at Gujarat's Porbandar. That's a Kuchdi mines area, 2,000-acre kind of an area where this ship repair park is likely to come. And Gujarat rolls out a relief package for flood hit Surat business textile sector begins accessing the losses. And Gujarat government schools maths park makes mathematics more fun and easy. This is a story from the Gujarat pack. Let's understand what's happening on the weather front and the climate change things. So record breaking heat and drought, that's largely from the Europe. We can cool down to mark end of the heat wave, but that's not happening. Met Office declares heat wave in Scotland. Record smashing US heat wave. Italy plans to seek water from Switzerland as drought worsens. So heat wave and drought, this is happening now in Europe, no doubt about that. Heat wave continues in South London as well, and we can cool down mark heat wave for some. Extreme European temperatures cause excess mortality. So this is largely the news. And Governor Abbott updates Texans on statements of flooding response. Basically, Americans forgotten tornado collapse. Scientists say it would happen again. Tornado causes damages in San Antonio, and PMD warns of floods, glacier melts in Himalayas. So this is a part of the news from the climate desk or the weather desk, which is tracking this news environment and everything. Climate crisis and global impacts. Researchers head to Greenland for ambitious science mission. And glaciers of the world, local melting and global impacts. That's how it is. Gilgit, Pakistan, climate ground zero. So what's happening over there? And rising dust pollution across Europe. This is in the climate crisis and the global impacts and adoption and policy action. Government endorses industry climate action. So TCMA launches next chapter of advanced Thailand net zero 2050 goals. These are some developments even from the COP32. And major emitting COP32 preparations. Major emitting countries knew the climate risks decades earlier. So these are the news which are read largely on the climate desk and the weather desk, you can call it. So I would just stop sharing over here. We don't have any more slides over here. This was the crisp version of today. I think it's 26 minutes. We have already said that 25, 20, 30 minutes will give you a complete idea about the world, about the business, about the conflict zones, India, everything. That's what we have given over here. If you want to read anything further, you can go on our website, datelinegujaratnews.com, where we do a hashtag DLG plus 2, the hashtag DLG plus 2 dispatch on a daily basis, which we call it a global business edition. So it's largely talks a mix of the mainstream news and the business news. It has news wires. You can click the link. You can cut paste that link into a Google and get a fair idea as to what are the other publications also reporting about it. So it's not a kind of a biased read. It becomes a kind of a holistic, balanced read from all directions. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for watching to us. Do keep on sharing your constructive, creative criticism, whatever it is in terms of comments, etc. And stay safe, stay healthy. It's monsoons over there. While going out, please be a little careful. And please do take very good care of yourself. Thank you.